An upcoming Star Trek episode title hints why its animated series is ending after 4 seasons of clever comedy, heartfelt storytelling, and deep Star Trek lore. Star Trek Lower Decks is preparing to bid farewell. The animated series, which began as a quirky spoof of Trek's many tropes, grew into one of the franchise's most beloved modern installments. But as the series nears its final episodes, a recently revealed episode title has sparked speculation and a touch of melancholy among fans. The title? First, Best Destiny. To the uninitiated, it might seem like a generic phrase. But to Trekkies, those 3 words are loaded with meaning, and they may also contain a subtle message about why Lower Decks is ending. A title with deep canon roots. First, Best Destiny is a direct reference to one of the most iconic lines ever spoken about Captain James T. Kirk. In Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, Admiral Kirk is told by his friend and former instructor, Captain Spock, that command of a starship was always his first, best destiny. It's a powerful phrase that encapsulates a Starfleet officer's ideal calling, the path they were meant to follow, even if they strayed from it. So what does it mean when Lower Decks borrows that same phrase as the title of one of its final stories? On one level, it may be signaling a return to serious Trek values, fate, purpose, and identity. But on another, more poignant level, it could be the show's way of acknowledging that Lower Decks was never meant to last forever. From comedy to canon, when Lower Decks first premiered, many fans were skeptical. How could an animated comedy fit into the prestigious lineage of Star Trek? Would it be canon? Would it mock the universe too much? But over the seasons, Lower Decks proved it was far more than a parody. It became a love letter to Star Trek, from The Next Generation to Deep Space Nine, from obscure references to classic characters. Characters like Beckett Mariner, Brad Boimler, and Tendi grew from comedic archetypes into deeply layered individuals. And their adventures, while ridiculous on the surface, carried the emotional and philosophical depth that defines Trek. Yet for all its clever writing and heartfelt moments, Lower Decks always walked a fine line between homage and satire. Perhaps it was inevitable that it couldn't maintain that balance forever. Perhaps, first, Best Destiny is a quiet nod to the idea that the animated format, or the comedic tone, was never Star Trek's permanent home, but rather a delightful detour. Growing up with the characters, in many ways, the characters of Lower Decks have evolved beyond their original station, literally and figuratively. Boimler has stepped onto the bridge of the Titan and begun taking command seriously. Mariner, once a rebellious slacker, has faced personal trauma and matured into a leader. Tendi and Rutherford, too, have grown into their roles, taking on real Starfleet responsibilities. This growth mirrors the show's own journey. It began as an irreverent gag-filled romp through Trek history and ended up tackling some of the franchise's most enduring themes: duty, loss, friendship, sacrifice, and the moral choices Starfleet officers must make. The phrase, first, Best Destiny, could therefore reflect not just the characters realizing their true callings, but the show itself recognizing that its job is done. That Lower Decks helped reinvigorate the franchise and remind fans why they fell in love with Star Trek in the first place. And now, it's time to move on. A changing Trek landscape, there's also a practical layer to consider. With Paramount Plus trimming its streaming slate and focusing on more mainstream or high-impact projects like Strange New Worlds and the upcoming Section 31 film, animated fare like Lower Decks may have been deemed too niche to sustain. The recent cancellation of Star Trek Prodigy, only to be revived elsewhere, suggests animation isn't dead, but it's no longer a guaranteed pillar of Star Trek's future. Still, the decision to give Lower Decks a final season rather than a sudden cancellation shows respect. The creators were given a chance to wrap up the story on their own terms, and if first, Best Destiny is any indication, they're doing it with love, purpose, and a sense of closure. The legacy of Lower Decks, while it might not have the gravitas of The Next Generation or the cinematic flair of Discovery, Lower Decks carved out its own unique legacy. It reminded us that not every Starfleet hero wears captain's pips, that the support crew, the so-called Lower Decks, are just as vital to the mission. And it proved that Star Trek could laugh at itself without losing what makes it great. If the title first, Best Destiny, really does hint at the end of the journey, it's a fitting tribute. It suggests that the show, like its characters, has fulfilled its purpose. It entertained, it taught, and it boldly went